In this video, I'm going to talk about the effects of graphics on packaging. Here's a little survey that gives you a brief idea of how this presentation is going to go. So the impact of warning label message framing and plain cigarette packaging on young adult smokers' motivation to quit is the main goal of this survey. There are 740 people who have participated, and their ages from 18 to 30. They are split into 4 groups and each tested with different warnings. The first is tested by lung disease, second is cancer, third is stroke or heart disease, and fourth is death warnings. So in the research, the lung disease and cancer warnings have the strongest impact on the young adults, or adults as well, for their motivation to quit across the condition. So what is the effect of graphic cigarette warning labels on smoking behavior? The annual smoking attributable deaths are estimated to be 6 million. The WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control requires member countries to implement measures aimed at reducing the demand for tobacco products. They recommend the use of rotating large, clear, and visible graphic warning messages, and it should cover 50% or more of the principal display areas of the packages. So the 50% covering, it's just their recommendation, and we'll see by the end of the presentation if it really worked. And in January 2001, Canada became the first country in the world to enforce graphic health warning labels on cigarette packages. Graphic warnings induced a greater emotional response and were more likely to retain their salience over time, and increase awareness of health risks compared to text warnings. And through the Tobacco Act of 1997 called for banning tobacco advertisements, it continued to allow point-of-sale display of tobacco products as well as sponsorship promotions by tobacco companies. So, with this said, the Tobacco Act of 1997 is not as impactful as it should be. And there are even tobacco companies advertising through sponsoring local events and making the locals feel like they are actually doing something that helps the community. So this is what I just talked about. Yeah, and this is what the survey is about. So here are a lot of complicated numbers. The policy variable decreased the odds of being a smoker. The graphic warnings also decrease the odds of being a daily smoker and increase the odds of making a quit attempt. Results for the other covariates revealed not. So there isn't a statistically significant relationship between gender, income status, marital status, household size, immigration, workplace smoking bans, and the odds of attempting to quit. So the survey doesn't show that, which is not what I expected. I'm not sure what you guys are expecting, but yeah, older adults and those employed were less likely to make a quit attempt. I feel like this is because older people, they don't have as much as a motivation to keep up their health and all that compared to younger people, and they also don't know much about internet. I'm not saying all older adults, but some of them just don't have as much access to the internet or knowledge to the internet compared to teenagers and stuff. So they have a harder time receiving information about benefits of quitting smoking or harmful effects of smoking and all that. And okay, yeah. Moving on, immigrants and the well-educated were also more likely to have attempted quitting smoking. And the measure of nicotine dependence showed a statistically significant effect on quit attempts. this research has some limitations. So, as of June 2011, more than 40 countries have implemented similar warning messages. And after this research, there are growing bodies of research and stuff, just because more countries are implementing warning messages on the packaging. And the effectiveness of this policy in discouraging smoking is not as much. And previous studies mostly agree that graphic cigarette warning appear to be effective. However, there is limited evidence, just because at that time of the research there isn't much warnings on packaging. So the U.S. Food and Drug Administration issued a final ruling towards a lot of anti-tobacco companies, anti-tobacco communities, and workspace, and tobacco companies. They issued that the tobacco companies have to place a new graphic health warning on cigarette packaging and in advertisement. And beginning on June 18, 2021, the new cigarette health warnings will be required on cigarette packaging and in advertisement. So it's going to be next year, June. So like a year from now. And occupying the top 50% of the area on the front and back panels of packages and at least 20% of the area on the top of the cigarette ads. So this actually, like, to go back to the beginning and the introduction part, is finally implemented after years of hard work. And this is like a brand in Australia that actually implemented it. And on the left it's like before there's any before the ruling, before having a policy about it, and on the right it's after that. So it's very obvious that the right packaging, the packaging on the right is more effective in terms of warning, like the logo size and the text are larger. And here are more. So the director of the FDA Center for Tobacco Products said, the finalized cigarette health warnings represent the most significant change to cigarette labels in more than 35 years and will considerably increase public awareness of lesser known but serious negative health consequences of cigarette smoking. So this is talking about the final rule and what the public should expect. This is some of the warnings that they put out, which is pretty terrifying. And this is it. Thank you.